Hey everyone, welcome to today's little recording. And you see our, what is it? Our riddle of the morning. So check it out. If you think you know the answer, go ahead and send me an email. And I'm going to put this in present mode. I meant to do that. There we go. All right. And our essential questions of today, we are looking at narratives and how to convey an experience that captivates an audience and different techniques we use for that. I want you to keep in mind that your assignment in Writable, this one, is slightly different than the one that's in Canvas right here. And the reason for that is so that you can have the opportunity to focus on something a little bit more positive. I felt like the one in Canvas, the original one, was a little on the negative side. So I wanted to broaden out that prompt for you so that you can make this about any significant moment or decision in your life, whatever it is that you choose to do. And we looked primarily at brainstorming and drafting. I included you know what, let's pause this for a second and get our graphic organizer up. I included a graphic organizer that will help us with our pre-writing and brainstorming ideas, and we'll look at that in just a second. And then we talked a lot about, a lot of times kids, the hardest place to start is at the beginning. What am I going to write about? I don't know. I don't have anything that I feel is significant or important in my life and things like that. So my example would be there is at least one important decision that I know each and every one of you has made. And that is either you've made it or somebody made it for you to be at a cyber academy as opposed to a brick and mortar school. Okay, so think about that and all that led up to your being here at GCA. How did you feel about it? How did you react? How did it change you? Some of you, it might be a real positive thing, some of you, it might be a more negative thing. And your story could be about how you made peace with being at an online school versus a brick and mortar school. Move along. And we reviewed some terms from last week. We've got plot, and you're going to be including that in your narrative. Now, one person brought up very interestingly that they were like, "What? Why are we using plot? I thought this is nonfiction. This is essay. Do you use the story in an essay?" Well, the narrative essay, yes, you do. You're telling a story. It's a true story. It's nonfiction. It's an essay, but it's going to have those story elements of following the plot cycle. Um, Such as right here. You're going to set the tone with the exposition. Tell me what, going back to our example of how you came to be at GCA. Who were the people that were involved in making the decision and why? What was the setting and circumstance? When did this occur? Was this last summer? Or was this, a few years ago? Whatever it is. And then if this is about you making peace with being here at GCA, then, what events and circumstances, maybe it was a conversation with a teacher or you started to make some friends in class and led you to feel at peace and at home here at GCA. And we reviewed imagery. You're going to want to include imagery in your writing. And this is partly why I chose the graphic organizer I did for brainstorming to kind of help remind you of this aspect, because good writing is going to include imagery. And then we introduced the term flashback, or not really introduced, because this should be something that's somewhat familiar for you, but maybe you've not heard the definition quite like this. I like this one right here. Interruptions to insert past events in order to provide background or context to the current events of a narrative. So it's for a point, it's for a purpose. It's not just some memory on the random. It is specifically for explaining and giving background and context to what's going on. So back to our example of how you came to be at GCA. Maybe you might insert a flashback of an event or conversation you had when you were in brick and mortar, so that it would provide context to me, the reader, as I'm looking at your essay and reading your story, so that I can fully understand, why you feel the way you feel and why you react the way you react to this situation in your life. And dialogue,
Yeah.
same thing. Like you might, if you're talking about, how you came to peace with being at GCA. It might be a conversation you have with a teacher or a counselor or with a friend or parent or something like that, that is directed towards a particular subject. So it's not just dialogue on the random. It's all geared toward getting across your point, your thesis, which would be how you came to be at peace with being at an online school versus a brick and mortar. All right. Now, you may or may not include dialogue. You may or may not include flashbacks, but you must, every one of you, include transitions because transitions are the gravel that fill the potholes of your paper. Okay. It helps smooth everything out and make it a smooth ride. So you're going to need these transitions between ideas and sentences and paragraphs. And here, and you could Google list of transition words and get a huge number of resources to help you as you write. I highly recommend it. Work smarter, not harder, as far as, use the resources that are available to you. Here's a small list of some things that can work for you as transitions. I tried to pull in ones that would be applicable to a narrative that's going in a chronological order, so you could use those. All right, and then you can pause the video, play the little show me game, find what or figure out what each definition is, and then keep going. And then here we worked on identifying imagery, transitions, and dialogue. For instance, I'm not going to read through this paragraph, but point out things like sweat pouring off my body. That's definitely a piece of imagery. The ball rolling off my fingertips. The sweat and the fingertips thing are both a sense of touch. The buzzer sounded, it's your sense of sound, and slow and so forth. Transitions, there's really only two transitions in here. As the buzzer sounded, it transitions from kind of a frozen and slow-mo kind of way and back into action. And then I finally heard the swish of the net. Okay. And then dialogue, that's the obvious one. Shoot, Coach Ray yelled, shoot. And then looking at this, is there a flashback here? And the correct answer is no. There is no actual flashback here. It is all told in past tense, but past tense does not necessarily indicate a flashback. There's no insertion and interruption in the plot here. It all is one continuous cycle. All right. So now I want you to think about, what are you going to write and who is your audience? Me. It's me. I'm your audience. So when you're writing, think about how you're going to need to explain and get your point across as someone who does not know your whole story, your whole life story. What are you going to need to make sure that you make clear for me as your audience? All right, and then we went into brainstorming. This up here is some things that you'll go over in your lesson today. You do have a warm up and instruction to do. Same with here, looking at how Belinda is writing an informative essay and how she should organize it. And then how to do a very engaging exposition, the beginning of your essay. And then we went into some work time. Okay, that was largely what we did. And here's the graphic organizer. I've got it in our modules as both a PDF um, and a Word document. You can type in it. It might be a little funny. And so it moves things around, but still it gives you, the idea of stuff that you can type and you can practice. The reason I liked this one is because it uses the sensory details, it gets your mood and helps you create all of the parts that you need to have for your narrative essay. So that was the big point there. Make sure you're looking at your daily announcements and getting all that work done there, that you complete your pretest and the Stories from Around the World quiz. And let me know if you need anything. I'll see you later.